Hey everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you live on Dallas Trading Floor. Well, it's Monday and it is August 2nd. We are into August, the hottest month of the year here in Dallas, probably. It cooled off a little bit yesterday. I was out at the pool, so just want to tell you that. Not that not that any of you would be interested, but it was a very nice. It was a very nice Sunday. Hope everyone had a really nice Sunday as well. Well, just want to kind of get into some of the slides here. Tesla is looking pretty strong. As a matter of fact, I bought another half position. I don't have a lot of shares of Tesla. I'm wading in as we speak. So hopefully this will work out. But it's looking pretty good. I mean, it's looking pretty good. But first, I want to talk about the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is up, S&P is down, Dow Jones is down. So go figure. The S&P and the Dow are just off slightly. Not a whole lot, not a lot of volume, but the Nasdaq's looking pretty good. And that is indeed a good thing. So we're still in a confirmed uptrend. Now, I'm not totally out of cash. I still have cash from when we were in the market trend under pressure. So I am moving out of cash. I'm trying to find a way to go. I have one of my portfolios, the individual portfolio, I have that pretty much all allocated. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have the small portfolio all allocated, but I'm still trying to allocate my two other larger portfolios. Just tough to do. Wanted to talk to you about Square. Square is the stock of the day. And if you've been listening in a while, or if you've been on the action trade alerts, and by the way, if you want to get in on those action trade alerts, super great. All you have to do is go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, and the action trade alerts basically, if you were on those, I think we put out an alert on Square last week. We had a spread on it, very nice spread. It's doing quite well right now. It was up tremendously. I mean, it just basically they acquired a company called Afterplay, and this is a big deal because this Afterplay apparently is a major company in Australia, and it definitely the market loved it. There was the composite rating. This is 98. I think we may be a little bit extended on this, but we may be still able to buy this one. It's got a consolidation pattern, so not necessarily. It's a pretty strong pattern, but not necessarily the very best of the best. But it's still pretty darn good, and for everybody out there that is looking for something to acquire. Let's take a look at, of course, the stock that we all want to see, and of course that is Tesla. And Tesla looks again, finally, after long time, we are starting to see it move above this trend line. Now, if we were to draw a line, you can see that it has reversed, and it's reversed higher. Currently, it's up about $25 a share, or about 3.7%. It looks like we're finally moving beyond this sort of 680, 690 consolidation, and it looks like we're moving higher. I started buying it basically at this level, at the 680 level, kind of what I was talking about before. And as it's moved up, I've bought another position. Not a huge position, but the volume's up 35%, and it's looking pretty strong. So, will it move higher? I mean, who knows? But I definitely think it's moved beyond this very key level, which is of course the the resistance at about 680. Now, if you're looking to get into Tesla, I think you can start kind of putting your toe back in the water now. I wouldn't go in full force on this because we still have that overhead supply, as you know. So it's a little bit tricky getting in here, but this is a kind of an area where we want to start possibly moving in. Now, if it goes above about 720, then I think we can go in with another position. So I think it's good from about 720 up to about 780. There's some more resistance at about 780. 750 and then 780. So we're gonna, hopefully we're gonna be able to move back into Tesla. I've been waiting for a long time for this, but I definitely think it's starting to turn the corner a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about that. They had blowout earnings, and that's the reason why now I think it's possibly a good time to get in. We don't want to be in this when there's a risk, when there's a earnings risk, because that can be devastating with a stock like this. But now that they've come through earnings and they're solid, I think that we're going to see some nice motion on Tesla. Just want to kind of show you my holdings. I'm probably holding too many stocks right now. I typically only like to hold between 8 and 10 stocks, but I've been trying to buy them as they come into buy zones. Of course, I'm in Nvidia, as you well know. I started buying in after the split, and we're starting to sort of wade into the position. I really think that it needs to move to really move up even more. I think it needs to move above about the $200 level. Currently, it's at 197.43, up about 1.25% today. Pretty good. And the change on the price about 244. So looking pretty good. DocuSign's down a little bit, 1.16%. I still think it's consolidating here. Again, I want to see this move above about 300. I have a spread on it that basically is going to pay if it moves above about 300. So hopefully we're going to get back to that level at about 300. I still am having issues with my camera. That might be a card. I may need to get a card for my machine. Now, interestingly enough, LB, which was L Brands, has changed its name to Bath and Body Works. This is up today as well. They're going to be spinning off Victoria's Secret, and I'm going to try to get an idea. I have some of this stock. I'm going to try to find out if I'm going to get a dividend, a cash dividend, or a dividend of stock from the new Victoria's Secret, which has not yet been spun off yet. But this has changed its name to LB, Bath and Body Works. Nike is just continuing to do well for me. It's up again, $1 today. Lithium Motors, a little bit of a disappointment, but the automobile groups have been strong. Up on Robert Half. Elmer has been very strong as well. Boston Scientific, it's up today. AMD continuing its movement. My buy point was right below about 100. So in the $99 to $100 range. It's up about $9, doing very, very well. Lots of volume coming in there. The semis are particularly strong right now. I also have ST Micro. That's an Italian Swiss semiconductor company, and it's up as well. Just 1 cent, not a whole lot. Of course, we talked about Tesla, and it's bouncing around. When this was taken, it was 7-11. I think it's going to close higher today. And of course, then I also have Snapchat as well on this. I do have a spread on Square. Unfortunately, it's not on here, and I just have an options play on Square. I don't have actually the underlying stock. Okay, well, thank you for bearing with me on that. Let's see if we can get to some of the questions. Let's go here. And let's see. Thank you for holding here for the questions. And Matt, I guess you're first today. Hey. Oh, on semiconductor. Yeah, this one is doing tremendous. It's not on my buy list, but it's going to go on my buy list tonight. On semiconductor, the semis in general have been doing very, very well, but on semiconductor, ON, symbol ON, is setting up very, very nice. It's based in Phoenix, and look at this. Look at this gap up. It's very, very nice. It's right into the buy zone right now. Oops, let me go ahead and move over to that correct screen there. There we go. All right. So there we go. So take a look at on semiconductor. We did have this gap up. It's pulled back a little bit since, but there is a resistance right here at 44.59 on semiconductor. It is looking very, very strong. Look at the kind of earnings that it's been producing. This one definitely is something that we could possibly look to do a put spread on because it is so strong. And let's just look at the checklist on this one. So I'm going to be probably coming out with some stuff. This has got a 100% checklist. I love checklists like this, where I can get, where I can do, where I can come into it. It just checks all the boxes, and of course, when it retakes this 44.59, it's really, really good to go. The relative strength line is 81. It's pointed up. This is looking very, very strong. You could start accumulating a position here. It's not quite at the buy point, but it has definitely reversed. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw a reversal line on this, and that basically is like this. So you can see the reversal line. Basically, obviously the ultimate time to buy it was right before earnings, but we don't like to do that because a lot of times it can move down on us. But as you can see, coming right into earnings, and then it exploded on after earnings. Now here's what I would do on this one. I would not buy this one unless it moves above 44.59. This is the buy point on the consolidation base, and this is a first stage consolidation, so this is a very, very good pattern to buy it on. But here's how I would buy on semiconductor, and this is kind of what I like to do. This is kind of how I like to buy them, because basically what I'm looking to do is you want to set a buy stop limit order, and the limit is equal to the stop. I'm sorry, the stop is equal to the buy point, which is 44.59, and the limit is equal to 44.59 plus 10 cents, or let's see if I can get that right. There we go. Or 44.59, 44.59, or 44.69, excuse me, 69. So this is really how I would buy on semiconductor. It's totally buyable. Oops. It's totally buyable right now on a buy stop limit, and it's a limit. That's I have to get it correct. So LAMIT, not Y. But now, so this is how I would buy on semiconductor, and I definitely think it's very, very worthwhile. It's very, very worthwhile buying this one because it's got a 100% checklist. It has done a reversal and it has gapped up. These are all very, very good signs. So this is going to do very, very well. This is going to do very, very well. This group, the electronic semiconductor manufacturing group, has moved up steadily, even though I don't like the fact that it's below, that it's below about 100 on here. This has been improving. This group has been improving. So this is viable right now. Look at this. Look at this amount of buying pressure. So there's a lot of buying pressure on this one right now. The way to buy this one would be to set a buy stop limit order, probably for tomorrow. 44.59 would be the limit, and 44.69 is the stop is equal to 44.59, and the limit is 44.69. So the minute it crosses 44.59, an order to buy is put in for 44.69. So very, very good stock there, and definitely worth. This is definitely in the buy zone right now, and a very, very good stock. So thank you so much, Matt. That's an excellent choice on semiconductor. What would be a good entry point for Starbucks? Thanks, Kate. Thanks for watching the show too, by the way. I appreciate it. SBUX, and if we can ever get this economy back and reopened, Starbucks is going to be great. Right now, here's the issue with Starbucks. We did pass through that buy point at 118.98. We did, but then we pulled back and then we pulled up. So this is a relatively, it's having a little bit of difficulty at this level, but I do think it's going to bounce off the 21-day line. It is currently buyable, but it doesn't have as good a checklist as on semiconductor right now. It's quite good. It's quite good, but not quite as good as on semiconductor. But the restaurant retail area is doing much, much better. 78 checklist. Here's where you could buy this. The buy point on this one is 118.96. So 118.96 would be a good entry point. Currently, it's at 120.24. So we are basically, we're at a place where we could buy it at this point. So we could definitely buy Starbucks right now. It's at a good level where we could buy it. So that would be definitely definitely a place to buy it. Let's see if Square is still in the buy zone. That's a really good question. Let's take a look at SBUX, BUX, and no, Square. I'm sorry, we looked at SBUX, which I like. Square. Let's look. Let's see if Square is in the buy zone. And Square is actually below the buy zone. Can you believe that? But it's above the reversal line. This is the reversal line that I bought it that I bought that I put in here, and I can show you basically 1, 2, 3 days ago. That's where I entered the bull put spread, thinking that it would reverse, and yes, it did. So it's looking good. I won't buy actual physical shares until it moves to the buy point, 283. Here's what I like to do. I like to buy the share. I like to do a spread or an options play prior to the buy point, and then when I get to the buy point, buy the physical shares. So that's kind of how I do it. It had excellent earnings. The part of the reason I do that, part of the reason I do that is I don't like to be holding shares right before earnings, because they can really disappoint you. They can reverse on you and pull it down. I like to use options for that. But after we go through a period like this where we have such a strong uptrend, like with Square, that's where you want to start buying the shares. Now, would I buy at this level? Well, right now we have reversed higher. So that's a very good thing. We could start nibbling here. Now, what do I mean by nibbling? Well, I would not buy a full position here. So let's say the value of your portfolio is $8,000. If you were to divide that by 8, that would give you that would give you 8 full positions. So if you were to buy, if you had that size of a portfolio, $8,000 portfolio, and you were to buy Square tomorrow, I would not buy anything more than $500 worth. So basically 2 shares. So that's how I would look at it. But you definitely can move into the position now. It's still looking very good. It's below the buy zone though. I want the buy zone on Square is 283.19. Is 283.19. So it's below the buy zone, but it has reversed higher. You could definitely start buying here. I would buy half now, and then possibly half if it moves above 283. So that's kind of where I would be going. So basically, as you can see, I did this with options, but you can definitely do that with shares. And now that it's probably confirmed, it's probably better. It's probably better with shares. All right, so let's take a gander at people. Okay, this is the question about get into Nvidia or AMD. Let's take a look at both of them. Now, I actually have both AMD and Nvidia, so I'm going to take a look at AMD first. AMD came out of earnings very strong, and that's where it had its very nice movement up. Here we go. I'll show you on the chart. You can see where my buy points. I didn't buy. I'll be honest with you, on Nvidia. I mean, on AMD, I did not really buy it properly, okay? The correct buy point was 95 at 14, but I waited until after earnings. That's where I bought, was after earnings, because I was afraid of the earnings risk. So I bought it after earnings. This was on my watch list, and I bought it as it moved after earnings. That's where I bought it. Bought a half position there, and then I did buy it extended here. I bought another half position. But one thing I did do is I moved my stop loss up, and currently I believe my stop loss is at about 103. Let me just take a check on that to make sure. And I have this on the small portfolio. By the way, if you do have a link to the small portfolio, right over here is where I keep my stop losses, and sometimes I actually keep them correctly. 103.5. So that's where I set that's where I set my stop loss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to edit this, and this is my little stop loss thing. I'm going to edit that to 103.50, and that's where my stop loss is. So that kind of gives an idea of where I stop loss. I came in as it moved up, and then when it confirmed, I bought another position. So my average, I'm right about even on my average. And now I'll just continue to moving my stop loss up. And then hopefully, when it pulls back, I'll be out of the profit. Right now, I'm basically even on in AMD in terms of my buys. So let's look at Nvidia, NVDA. And this is another one that, of course, that I'm trading. This is one of my favorite stocks, of course. And I do think that it started to retake after, we made we made the high here, and of course this is on a split adjusted basis. So this would have been about $424. That's would have been approximately the $425 is what it was, and then it split, and then usually as it split, then it pulls back, and of course it did, and then we came back into it. So this on a split, this is always the way you handle it. Typically, the best way to handle it is that into the split, you want to hold it, sell before the split, let it pull back, let it bounce, and then let it move back up. I think if Nvidia moves beyond 200, I think we're going to see it retake 210 and 215 very, very quickly. So I like both of the stocks, but I think that if you're looking for overall leader for the absolute leader, it's going to be Nvidia a little bit over AMD, but they're both very, very good stocks. I have several semiconductor stocks right now. I have AMD, I have Nvidia, and then I have ST Micro, which is also doing pretty well actually. And I may get on semiconductors. It's just very, very, it's very, very nice. Thanks, Mickey, on semiconductor. Right now on ON, that's the symbol for on semiconductor, is right below a buy point. Now, even though it did break out, there was a reversal. Yeah, so there's the reversal. Okay, you see how it broke through that reversal, and then this is a lot of times what will happen, especially after very stellar earnings like they did. You will see this reversal line, and then it will come through earnings, and then as it moves through this reversal line, that's where you're going to see these gap ups, and definitely have a nice gap up today. Tremendous volume. This is probably going to consolidate right about at the buy point, but it's possibly buyable here. I wouldn't buy a full position just because it hasn't moved above the buy point, but this is an early buy point that you could potentially buy at. But be very careful. On semiconductor has been up 1, 2, 3 days, and typically on a fourth day, it's going to pull back a little bit. So I would be a little bit careful. That's the reason why on something like on semiconductor, I would be looking to do a buy stop limit order on this one, because I think that's going to give us a better, a better potential. So the buy stop limit order that I would recommend on semiconductor is put your stop at about 44.59. That's the buy point right here. And then if it moves above 44.59 and it just 10 cents, it will buy you in right above that buy point. So we want to pierce this ceiling here, which is the buy point, 44.59. So that's where I would buy. That would be my next buy on semiconductor. And it's got an excellent checklist. It's 100% on the checklist. So very, very good looking chart there as well. All right, let's take a look at Boeing. Of course, that's BA. Boeing, of course, is the largest exporter in the United States, believe it or not. But it is struggling, and I don't like to buy struggling stocks when there's so much other good inventory out there. Right now, we're below that 244.08 buy point, and that is not looking good. We did bounce off the 200-day line, but I just don't. I want to see some more strength before I get involved with Boeing. Right now, I would have to watch list Boeing. It's just overall not a very good chart. This is the monthly chart. This is the weekly chart that we're looking at. It's got a downward trend. So I have to say, for right now, with Boeing, I think you've got to basically, and this is kind of painful, but I think you have to watch list it only. And I just think we've got to watch list this, and we've got to wait a little bit. We've got to wait a little bit on on Boeing just because it has pulled back and really, this is a downward trend. I don't think we want to buy it right now. It's not on it's not on my radar, only because I just think that there's so many better options out there. Thank you, Ricky, very much. VSX. This is a stock that I picked up on Thursday. This Boston Scientific. I did not. I have a half position on this one. It seems to be doing. It seems to be faring fairly well. They had great earnings, and I bought it after earnings. And you could give. There you go. That shows you my buy points. So basically, the way I bought this was setting that stop loss, that buy stop limit order. Oh, I'm sorry, setting the stop loss here, but I'm sorry, first the full position, excuse me, as it moved and then it's up a little bit today. So this is looking very good. Boston Scientific is still in a buy zone, Ricky. So if you want to buy it at this point, that's no problem to buy it at this point. Here's the thing: if you do buy Boston Scientific here, you probably want to put your stop loss right about 44.50, and that's just slightly below. That's slightly below the buy point. So I think it will get support there, based on what I'm seeing. I think this is a very good stock. I think it's in a very good area. Has a nice checklist, 78%. The only two areas that it is not performing well on is the earnings per share and the relative strength. But the relative strength is improving, and I do think that with these last earnings, I think that it's improving a lot. So let's take a look at the sales. Basically, the sales were up 54%, but the profits, and this is the key, were up 400%. This is the last quarter that they announced. So they're doing something right, and that's for sure, because Boston Scientific is looking very good, and it is buyable right now. So definitely a buyable chart. Let's look at TTD. This is the trade desk, and of course, TTD split 10 for 1. Split 10 for 1 right here, basically in the middle of June. We did have a very nice spread trade on this one. It did do really well. We didn't really come back into it after that. Now, one thing about the trade desk, I would be very concerned about buying it right now. And why? Because we're only 7 days away from earnings. Earnings will be Monday of next week. So we want to be, that'll be on the 9th of August. So we want to be careful here that we probably is not a good time to buy it right now. It's probably best to wait and watch this, see how it does in earnings. Because if it does disappoint in earnings, it's likely to pull back. But if it does well, then this might be very, very, very good. I do think that they're likely to have good earnings. The checklist is strong. This might be potentially a earnings play. I'm going to take a look at it, possibly for a bull put spread on this one, TTD, for the bull put spread. I'm going to bull put spread, okay, on these ones, just because it is 7 days in front of earnings. So we want to be a little bit careful when we get that close to earnings, so that's definitely something that I think we want to be a little bit careful on. So I would not be a buyer of TTD. I would not be a buyer of TTD right at this level. I would wait until it went through earnings. Earnings are going to be on August 9th. So that's something to take a look at. But great company, TTD, excellent checklist. Just needs to be a little bit, we just have to be a little bit careful with the earnings, because earnings can be really tricky. I mean, it really, really good. It can be really, really tricky. Thanks, Ricky. Is it a good time to get into Nvidia at this level? You know what? I sure think it is. I've been building my position. I sold all my Nvidia right before it split 4 for 1, and now I'm starting to rebuild my position. Earnings for Nvidia are going to be in about 2 weeks. And my guess is these earnings are going to be very good. So what I'm trying to do is build a position in Nvidia and see if I can get a profit margin of 10% going into earnings. Now, I will hold through earnings if I have a 10% or more margin. And I do think that that's likely based on things. It does have to move up a little bit more than where it's at now for me, but I do think that we're going to see it move higher. And so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm not real, I've done most of my buys. I'm kind of waiting for it to go through earnings right now. Hopefully I'll be up 10% on that. I started doing, basically, the last buy point on this was prior to the 4-for-1 split, and it's at 182. So it's been a while on this one, but I do think that, you can come back into it now and start accumulating position. I wouldn't go all in yet. I would wait until it comes through earnings. I think it's going to come through earnings very well. It could really, really move up very quickly if it does get a good earnings report. And I think that that's likely, actually. But I wouldn't commit to a full position. I'd go in with a half position. And then if it does well in earnings, and again, that's about 2 weeks for Nvidia, then I think I would go in with another half position on that. Yeah. All right. Thoughts on NURO, bought at 3. This is okay. So this is a penny stock. And by the way, everybody, anything below about $10 is considered a penny stock. These are much more risky stocks. You can do very, very well on them, but I do caution against them because they're not considered investment grade. All right. And it's much more of a crapshoot on these. All right. So I want to show you the chart on this one. This is a really this chart is not what I would like to see, but let's see. Okay, yeah, and you bought it $3.75. Wow, you're up to $13. Gosh, I would be a seller right here, right now. I absolutely would be a seller right now on this one, or at least I would sell half of my position. So, here's what I would do. After I told you about all those bad things that can happen if you buy penny stocks, you've proven me wrong. You've tripled your money. So what do I know? Anyways, what I would do here is why not sell half your position and play with the house's money? That's what I would do, because if you're playing with the house's money, then you don't have to be as careful about maintaining your stop losses. But I would sell half my position. I really would. I would take profits right here. I absolutely would. So that's congratulations. That's excellent. All right, Pfizer, NEO, and Nikola. Well, Nikola is a fraudulent company, as you probably know. Nikola, actually, the former CEO was arrested. I think he's going to be thrown in jail. Not sure about that. But Pfizer certainly isn't. Let's look at NEO. NEO tends to run with Tesla. I prefer buying Tesla, even though it's much more expensive than NEO. Because I think it's more of a real company. NEO is a real company too, and they do export items to Europe, but they are definitely not as it's not as essential a company. That said, it's down a little bit after hours. Here's the thing: I think one share of Tesla is worth having more than a NEO. Right now, the reason that NEO is trading up is because Tesla is trading up. So I want to show you Tesla, TSLA. So it's better to have fewer shares of Tesla than more shares of NEO. And you can look at the relative strength on that. It's at 86. Let's go back to NEO. I know that I know that people really like NEO, and I have traded it, so I can't say that. And so it's 93. So it's very comparable. It's actually a little bit stronger. Let's look at NEO. 76 checklist. That's good. And let's look at Tesla. And I believe it's 76 checklist, or maybe not. 78 checklist. Okay, so it's the same. So pretty good. Well, I guess maybe you could consider it as a Tesla compatible. Maybe you could. I'm not buying it. I'm buying Tesla instead. I'm not buying NEO. But let's look at Fizzy, PZE. I think that's it for Pfizer. All right. See, let me get the let me look up the symbol for Pfizer really quick. PIZER stock symbol. And of course, they are definitely benefiting from the PFE. Right? My mistake there. PFE. PFE. Yeah, looks like it's Pfizer. there's been a lot of buying today, that's for sure. Let's look at the daily chart. Let's see if it's viable. It's beyond. It's a little bit extended. The buy point on this was 4109. The the buy point on this is 4109 right here. Let's see if I can show you that. Yeah, it's right here where this dotted line is. That's the buy point on a cup with handle buy point, which is a very good buy point. So right now it's a little bit extended. So would I buy it at this level? Probably not if I didn't already have it. If I had a half position, I would probably definitely buy another half position. If I did not have a half position, I probably would not buy it as a first buy. I just wouldn't buy it. All right, Sophie, SOFI. Let's look at this. Sophie. SOFI. All right. SOFI. Let's see what we've got there. SOFI Technologies. This is very promising area, but here's the thing. Looking at this chart, I just don't like the chart. It is a downward trending chart, and it is an IPO, so I just probably would not be in this one. It's a good group, 6 out of 197. Let's just see who the leaders are in this group, and see if anybody is in a buy zone. Let's just take a quick look to see if we can see that, if that is possible to find that. So I'm going to go down here to the market groups here, and we're going to go look for number 6. And of course, that is the that is the consumer finance group. So let's see if we could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, get that back again. I just sorted it twice. There we go. Oh, that's the apparel. That's actually one of my favorite groups too. But let's see if I am. Well, I guess not. SOFI. Let's go back to that. SOFI. SOFI Technologies. And it is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 8 out of 196. Excuse me. That was not right. Go to number 8. There we go. Because what I'm really trying to do here, everybody, is I'm trying to find out who the leaders are in the group. Now, the top stocks are Santander Commercial. I had this one. This is a very, very good one. I sold it just because I needed to make some more room in my portfolio. Let's look at Santander. I think this is a better company. It's got a better checklist, that's for sure. Now, the question is Santander viable at these levels? Well, it is actually. I think that this is what they call a tight pattern, and the earnings were super. This one is probably going to pop. I can almost guarantee you this one is going to pop. I think this is one. I think this one is going to pop after hours. Okay. The net change in earnings on Santander was terrific. So let's see. I want to look at the weekly chart. This may be a buy tomorrow morning. Let's see. Let's see if that's exactly right. If I can get this. So I might be buying this one tomorrow morning. No? Okay, so we were still flat. Okay, so we've come through earnings. They were excellent. And let's see what's happened on the daily chart. All right, that's where I sold. Okay, and I sold just basically prior to earnings. So this is one I would look at and post to SOFI is Santander, because it is the best in the group. Should we hold through earnings on NEO? Absolutely not. Oh, you're up 16%? Oh, absolutely. Okay, so Neil, yeah, you could definitely hold through earnings. I don't recommend typically holding through earnings unless you're up 10%. Well, if you're up 16%, then you definitely can hold through earnings. If you like to be a little bit cautious, you might want to sell half your positions and then hold half your positions through earnings. But you could, if you're up 10%, you definitely can hold through earnings. So, that's a great move. So if that is the case, if that's the case here, then I think you're in a very, very good situation. You're in a very, very good situation with your earnings. So I would definitely consider holding through. I would consider definitely holding through with the kind of profit that you have. All right. Okay, this is Neo. Let's look at Rio. Hey, Majid. Hey, Zim. Let's look at Zim. Zim, of course, is it's a new stock that's been in there for a while. Zim. It's an old company. It's basically the Israeli national shipping company, but they took it private, and it was listed basically. This is an IPO. It seems to be pulling back above the 50-day moving average, so it seems to be getting some. It seems to getting some strength once again. The relative strength is 98. Would I buy it at this level? I don't think so. I would be a little bit more careful on this one just because it does look like it is reversing above that reversal line, though. So yeah, if it could hold about 42, 43, I might consider it because it is looking pretty good in terms of everything. The profits are excellent on this. The question is when is their next? The question is when is their next earnings report? That's going to be on today. You know what? Obviously, you can't buy this one because it's an after hours deal. But let's see how this trades. I mean, they may have blowout earnings, and if they do, then this one might be a good place to go. It's in a very good area, 18 out of 197 in terms of the sectors of the economy. So I think that if it pops tomorrow morning, and I don't know, it doesn't show anything after hours, then I think you could buy it. I definitely do. That's amazing. I normally wouldn't say that, but I definitely think based on the charts, I think you could do it. Hey, Jim, I'm new to investing and day trading. Well, actually, I'm not a day trader. I'm what they call a swing trader. I typically will hold my positions. A day trader will sell all of his positions by the end of the day, so and go into cash at night. I don't do that. I usually hold through. Can you recommend some resources? Anything I should buy right now? Well, there's a number of very good things that are breaking out. I do think that there are some very, very nice setups out there. Let me just see if I can give you kind of something. You ought to consider possibly buying the book. How to Make Money in Stocks: A Winning System, Good Times or Bad, and that's available basically by just going to www Dallas Trading Floor and then just click on the button, and it'll take you right to Amazon for that. But it's a really good thing. It definitely changed my life. But basically, oops, that's a Vinny one. Just go to www.dallastradingfloor.com and scroll down and click on the link for the for how to make money in stocks: a winning system, good times or bad. And by the way, if you're interested in our mugs, I want to kind of show you how that looks. So I'm just going to go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, and here we go. Oops, and hopefully it'll come up here in a second. DallasTradingFloor.com. Oh, did it come up? Putting it in again. I'm hoping. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is kind of what the website looks like. It looks like both this on mobile and not. And if you're interested in getting a book that will really change your way of going, just go down here to this third one down here, and just click on that link, and it'll come up with this: How to Make Money in Stocks: A Winning System, Good Times or Bad. This is off the Amazon site, but this is just a great book. And if you can read this, you'll understand kind of what I'm talking about. That's the CAN SLIM system. Also, of course, always like to say we have the official Dallas Trading Floor mug. So I just wanted to show you that as well. $6.95. We do have to have shipping on there. It's but you actually could pick it up here at the location to avoid shipping, but there is shipping on it. But this is the Dallas Trading Floor mug, in case you're interested in those kind of things. Anyways, thanks for asking that question. And your question was, what is a good stock to buy right now? So let's go through stocks that may be breaking out that might be of interest. Now, sometimes there are stocks that do fairly well. Now, here's a stock. It's very interesting. It's breaking out today, and I've not heard of the stock, but it's a retail stock. And I wouldn't put my whole money in this position, but you might want to look at this one. It's called Jill Incorporated. JILL is the symbol of the stock. This is breaking out today. It's got a 99 relative strength, and it's right at a buy zone. So that's something I want to kind of point out to you as a stock. Now, I don't own this stock because it just moved through earnings, but the earnings were up 106%. Sales were up 42%. The earnings were up 106%. This one's looking pretty decent. This is in a very good area. It's got a 89 checklist, and this is in the retail sector. So if you wanted to get a small position in this one, a starter position, that might make some sense in case you are interested in a stock that might be working very well. The symbol on that, JILL. All right. Zen. I think you mean Zim. Okay. Let's see. All right. Great call. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Raj. I've been waiting around for Tesla for a while. I love Tesla, but I just couldn't buy it. The chart wasn't right. It's frustrating because you want to buy it. You have everything's ready to go, and you just want to do it. But Tesla's made, and I show you why I did that. So, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much about that. Here's why I kind of figured that might happen with Tesla. This is a reversal line here, you see, and what happens is Tesla was currently in a downturn, but this is sort of a resistance, and as it bounces off this 200-day line, that's this black line here, that's when you're starting to see it move above. And what makes a stock go higher? Well, for years I thought it was, they had great news, or somebody bought it, or a celebrity got on the board, or whatever. But I found out that actually that's not it at all. What makes a stock go higher is that the strong hands, the strong holders of it, they refuse to sell at the bid price. Basically, there's the bid and there's an ask. They hold out for that ask price. Well, if enough of them hold out for that ask price, it just goes up. And finally, that's what's happening with Tesla, because many of the weak hands, what they call the weak hands, have gotten pushed out, and now it seems like the strong hands are coming back in. So I do expect that we will see, at least for the time being, if Tesla can move above about 720. Now currently it's pulled back a little bit. It's at 710 after hours. If it can move above about 720, it's probably going to move up to about 780. That's kind of how I see it. So thank you very, very much for that comment. Really appreciate it. Bloom Energy, a buy at $20.50 for a swing trade. General good support at 20. Only problem is the 20-day line. Oh, yeah, you don't want to buy a real. Unfortunately, you don't want to do that. Especially not in this market. You don't want to buy when the 50 is under the 200. Let me look at Bloom. Let me see if I could give you a good look at that. BL and Energy. All right. And Bloom Energy. And okay, so what is there? Green Energy Company, BE. That's right. Okay, I remember that, but I don't think I have a markup on this one. But let's look at BE, and let's look at the support of Bloom. All right. So here's Bloom Energy. Right now, I would not buy Bloom Energy, and just by looking at this chart. And say, Jim, how do you know that? Well, it is in a downward trend. So let's put the trend line in here, going from the top here, and then I'm going to hit the high at 28, and then I'm going to move down. Okay, this is the trend line for Bloom Energy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert on this line. So if it moves above this line, then I'm going to start looking at it. Why? Because then it will change character. Right now, the stock is in a downward trend. So you're right. When the 50-day line here, that's this red line, crosses below that 200-day line, this is what they call the death cross. And that's right here. That means that at least for right now, you probably don't want to buy it because the momentum is lower. Now, when this 50-day line moves above the 200-day line, then it has regained its upward momentum. That's the reason I've drawn this trend line here. So as it moves higher, that's where we'll see it move. We possibly could move into it. Right now, you can't move into this one. This is not a good stock to buy right now. It's in a downward trend. The earnings per share is due in 2 days. That's another thing. We don't want to buy into earnings like this. So with Bloom Energy, I just think you got to be a little bit more careful, and it's just got to be a little bit more careful. It's not ready. It's sort of not. It's not ready to go quite yet, but it will be. I'm sure it will be. But right now, you just can't buy it because it's in a bad trend. What do you think about Fastly? Will earnings be good on Friday? It's hard to say if earnings will be good or bad, but let's take a look. We can kind of figure this out. And there's a website out there called Earnings Whispers, EARNINGS, Whispers, WHISPERS. So let's look at Earnings Whispers to see what's going to happen with Fastly. Now, what's the symbol for Fastly? I think it's FSLY. I think that's the symbol. So let's take a look. FSLY. Let's see what Earnings Whispers has to say. Well, Earnings Whispers, let's pull it over there. Earnings Whispers is saying, what are they saying? They are saying that the short-term price trend is down. Well, that's not looking good. The intermediate price term is down. The long-term price is down. So not where you really want to be. There's downward pressure on the stock right now. The pivot is at 48.44. And there is support at 47.38. But look at that chart. It's just not the kind of chart we want to see. It's going from high to low. So here's the thing about Fastly. I think you want to avoid it. That would be my guess right now. Is I would be avoiding Fastly. But let's bring up the chart. FSLY. And yeah, this chart unfortunately just is not the kind of chart you want to buy. This is a downward trending chart. And it has a relative strength of 2. So I think you just have to be super careful on this one. I don't know if this will turn up, but right now it's trading below the 200-day line. I just would not buy this one. Whenever it's below about the 200-day line, I think you've got to be super careful. So it's a no buy below 200-day line. So really, that's kind of the long and short of it. You really cannot buy this one at this time. You just can't. It's a no buy. It's below the 200-day line, and it just does not look good. So even if they have good earnings, I don't think you're going to want to be there on this one. So I would not I would not buy Fastly at this point. It is not a good. It's not a good. Not a good look. Okay, let's see. You only tell when to buy and not when to sell. Good question. Thank you for that. Here's what you need to do to know how to sell. Now, most people say, well, you tell when to buy, when not to sell. Here's how you know when to sell. When you buy a stock, you set a stop loss, and the stop loss you set is about 3 to 4% below where you bought it. As the stock moves higher, you move that stop loss up. Now, when you start to get to about 20%, if you're lucky enough to have one of those stocks, then you consider selling half of the shares. But if you're using a stop loss, you just move that stop loss, and eventually the stock will pull back, and it will cash you out. So so buying at the correct buy point, and then moving that up, and then as the stock reverses, the stop loss will sell you out. And the stop loss will be typically, if you've done it right and you've held it for more than a few days, and you've bought correctly, you will be in a positive situation. So that's what I do. I buy the stock at the proper buy point, set my stop loss basically no more than 7% below that, typically 3 to 4%. And then as the stock moves higher, I move that stop loss up. When the stock collapses down, it will move through that stop loss and you'll be sold out at a profit. So that's how you sell correctly. All right. Let's take a look at, and we're almost down to about 6 minutes left. Okay. Let's look at Robinhood. You know, Robinhood is an IPO, and IPOs are tough to buy. I'll be honest with you. Typically, the only way you don't want to buy the only way you want to buy a the only way you want to buy a IPO is right when it's typically after it's made its higher high. Now, when Robinhood came out of the gate, people were very excited about it, and it moved right up there, and it moved right up to 40, and then boom, it went back down. So we can't really possibly even consider getting into Robinhood until it's moved above about 41. So right now, we can't do anything with Robinhood. And the reason we can't is because it's just too risky. Because if it's gone all the way up to 41, then people are starting to take the bid prices, and if they take the bid prices, it's likely to go down. So we want to see it come back up to its higher high, which is about 41. If it can hold 41 and moves higher, that's where you want to buy. You want to always be buying high, going higher. All right, JIMA, is it a good buy? Well, that's always the question is, always the good question is, does the chart say it's a good buy? So let's look at the chart for JAMA. I believe this was a pretty popular one. Looking at the chart for JAMA, this is not a good buy. This is a bad buy. And the reason it's a bad buy is, of course, this is what you must do when you start to look at charts. The first thing you do when you open up a chart is you look to see, how is it trending? Well, currently, this is trending downwards. Okay, you see that? All right, it's going from basically Seattle to Miami. All right, we don't want to be on that we don't want to be on that plane. We want to be on the plane from Los Angeles to New York or Boston. So this is in a downward trend. Currently, also, it's below the 200-day line. So right now, this stock is basically not buyable. It really isn't. It really isn't viable. It's basically a no buy because it's below the 200-day line, and that's right here. So I would be very cautious about buying this. I would not buy this myself, and that's kind of how I feel about it. All right, let's take a look at GSK. This is GlaxoSmithKline. This is these are, of course, big pharma, and these are typically excellent. These are excellent dividend stocks. I don't particularly like them. They're not more. I like the more growthy stocks. This is not a growth stock. This is a dividend stock, and it's based in the UK. And I think it trades on the international exchange in London, and I think it might even also trade in Frankfurt. I'm not sure, but I know it definitely trades in New York. Would I be interested in this one? Well, it's okay. The relative strength is 42. I think you could do a lot better. It's got a decent checklist, 67. The diversified medical is 119. I just think that there's better merchandise out there. Here's a stock that I think that you might want to look at. It's not a pharma company, but it's based in in the medical area. And this is one I bought last week called PKI, or PerkinElmer. PKI. And this one is doing extremely well. This is the kind of stock you should look to buy. Is a stock that has now currently, unfortunately, PKI is extended. And actually, I bought it on I bought it on the weekly chart. Yeah, okay. I bought it on the weekly chart. This right now basically is at the level. I basically bought it as it moved above this 162. Currently, it's at 138 and showing no signs of stopping. These are the kind of stocks that you probably ought to be looking at. It's had some very good earnings. PerkinElmer. This is also in the medical area with relative strength of 89. Unfortunately, you can't really buy this one. It's what they call extended. So I gave you a stock, but I showed you one that was extended. Probably not the best idea to buy an extended stock, but there's many good pieces. There's many There's much good merchandise out there. I don't think you have to settle for a stock like SmithKline Glaxo. All right. Oh, I skipped mine. Right, sorry. Sorry about that. All right, let's look at CLAR. CLAR. Thanks for BA. CLAR. Take a look. Is this Claris? Oh, it's outdoor equipment. I thought this was the database company that was spun off from Apple. For some reason, I thought it was Claris. Okay, look at very nice chart. It's leisure products are a good area, so it's looking good. No real place to buy it though, unfortunately. No real base action. The last time we had anything resembling that was the cup with handle, and that was way back in February, and that was at about $17, $16.99. So just not necessarily a really good place to buy this one right now. Just not a great place to buy this one. So I couldn't recommend anything. Talking about that, let's kind of look at the areas of the market where we do see some accumulation going on, and that's really what we ought to always want to look for, is to see where the big funds are going. And right now, it still is similar to the way it was before, and that is basically the U.S. oil and gas is still the number one. Now, I don't have I don't have exposure. I've been trying to create exposure in this one, and right now I don't have an exposure. I do think though there is one stock in here. It's called Denbury Resources, and that's the one probably that is the best. And it is basically. It looks like it may have reversed. I'm going to see if there's a place that we can buy Denbury. Denbury would be the one to buy if you bought it. That would be the one to buy. Currently, it's in a downward trend, so we would want to buy it if we would reverse above this line. Set the alert on that line. Yep. But right now, this is the best area in the market right now, and that is there we go. That's the reversal line that we want to see on Denbury. So I'm interested possibly in buying Denbury Resources if it moves above that reversal line. Now it's trading below the it's trading below the 50-day line. This is a good place to buy it if we can get a reversal here, but I would not buy it this week because earnings are in 3 days. I want to make sure that we go through earnings first on this one. But this is a top stock in the top sector that we always kind of want to have a little bit of exposure to that. It's Denbury Resources. That's the one that definitely is showing the most promise. Well, I have spent a whole hour yammering on, and we have one last question. PCOR. Let's look at it. PCOR, and let's look at that one. Procure Technology. I don't know this. Okay, so it's like a supply chain management type deal. And there's a lot of companies in this space. It is pulled above. There was a buy point here, an IPO base 91. It's at 105. Earnings are in 3 days. I just think this is a little risky. Yeah, 78. That's not a bad checklist. Yeah, and it's computer enterprise software, not a bad area. I just would be a little careful with Sunjit. I don't know. There's a lot of competition in this space, so that's my only opinion. It's a good space, but I think that there's just a lot of competition in that space. All right, I think I pretty much got everyone. Well, thank you everybody. Thanks for taking a look. And by the way, if you're not a member of our Action Trade Alerts, those are free, and they're great. And we put out, I don't know if I'm probably going to try to put out a list tonight, the Ready List, to see if I can get a curated Ready List out to everybody tonight. But you got to be on the list in order to get this. Also, of course, it's available for all our Beacon, our Discord members. I'm going to create another special area in the Discord area where we can see these lists, because I think these are really, really great. But If you need to get on the action trailers, just go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, and then it's super easy to sign up. Just need the first and last name and a email address, and we will get it right out to you. Got to be on there probably for about 10:30 tonight. That's kind of when they go out. They go out, and they'll be out tonight. So until tomorrow, thanks for watching. Typically I'm on here at about 2:30 or so, 2:35, depending on how things are going. I hope everyone is well, and I will see you tomorrow. Happy trading.